Good morning, good evening, good night, and good afternoon in any particular order. Thanks for just blowing your nose. We're going to wait till you're done.
This is the sick episode.
This is the episode where we're both recovering from sickness, on top of, like, major sickness. Like, it's just sick. So, Amelia's been coughing her guts up all day. I cough as well, and I sneeze a lot. But we thought, hey, we'll still do the review, that'll be funny. Anyway, I am your host, Purple Minot, joined as ever by Amelia, my wife.
Oh, disclaimer, don't wear headphones when you're
On my headphones, if you're watching this, you'll hear her just snotting her nose up.
by the end of it, and I take zero responsibility for that.
Yeah. Blame whoever gave me it. Anyway, Amelia, aka the Obsidian Nook Pal ASMR, wherever you want to fucking watch her on if you do. Huh?
Identify.
Whatever you identify as, like you told the doctor you identify as a sloth.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, as mentioned, this is the sick episode. We are very badly recovering from being sick, but we thought, hey, we still pump out a review for you. We picked a nice, simple one that Amelia has seen about 100 times, so...
You've seen it more than once.
I've seen it about 4 times now. There's no point, my hair is just in my face. That's just how it'll be for the entire, like, half hour or so of this episode. So, of course, as you can see, we are covering Ted 2. We have covered the first one, which is good, because we prefer to cover the original films before we cover the sequels, unless we can't help it, like Halloween Ends. Only because we did Halloween Ends, which is our second ever review, and we've done over 30
Yeah, but
now.
we saw it on release day, didn't we? Because...
Which I was getting to. But yeah, we... No, you can finish it, go on.
No, it's like we
No, finish your point.
saw it on release day, because Mum had them all, didn't she? So we kind of did it for her.
Yeah.
So...
God, what a mistake. That film sucks. Yeah, we will cover the rest of the Halloweens, but in the meantime, we'll just leave you with Halloween Ends. So yeah, Ted 2, we covered the first one last month, start of this month, something like that. We weren't in the current position we were.
This is another one I used to watch a lot with Silver.
It's one of those rare movies where the sequel is actually better than the original, as we both came to the conclusion of. Mainly just because this film is actually about Ted and not about John.
The amount of time.
It's not picking it up.
The amount of times I've had this as background. Cuddling and watching it too.
Bless him. So yeah, we'll get into it because we're too ill and we want to put the fan on so we can not be hot. This is hot still, even though it's like nearly the end of August. It's still really fucking hot. It was quite nice this morning when I went to work, though. One more thing. I apologise we didn't do a bonus episode this week, as promised. Am I going to have to stop every time you cough?
I think they'll gather that...
This video is going to be twice as long. But anyway. Now I'm doing it. You set me off. I forgot where I was because you distracted me. Yeah, we didn't end up doing our bonus episode because, as you can hear, we are both still ill. I think we'll be doing the bonus video as my review this week. I can't remember. But we'll see how well we are in, like, 2 days when we record it. So as mentioned, we are doing Ted 2 that came out in 2015, and like the original, you can watch that on Netflix. 2015? 2016 is what we were reading about. After we watched it, we went into a bit of a deep dive into Mark Wahlberg's, like, younger days. That was... We are not sharing it. If you want to look it up. He has done some interesting things in his younger days. So, as like the first one, it's written and directed by Seth MacFarlane, Wellesley Wild, and Alex Sulkin. Of course, the Family Guy people. It's a lot more Family Guy-y than the first Ted. In regards to cast, it's less Family Guy-y because there's a lot less of them. But there's a lot more cutaway gags like you're watching Family Guy. Family Guy-y is now a new adjective I've created. So we'll get right into it, as mentioned, because we are ill and no offence, we do just want to get this over and done with. Ted, once more voiced by Seth MacFarlane, basically doing the Peter Griffin voice. And Tammy Lynn, played by returning Jessica Barth, are being married by Sam Jones. Of course, Flash Gordon, that I don't know if we mentioned it in the first one, you didn't realise was a real thing. You thought it was just made for the movie, which is wild to me that you didn't know that Flash Gordon was real. So yeah, they're being married by him with Johnny, once more played by Mark Wahlberg, and Guy, played by Patrick Warburton, back again, as his best men. Guy now has a new partner who is Rick. He is played by Michael Dorn, most famous for being in Star Trek, which we have a nod to later on. Stasi has just entered the room. He's going to get cozy. He's going to swish his little tail around and then he's going to curl up. He likes being around it when we talk. He usually is in here somewhere when we're reviewing. What the fuck are you looking at? Your wing creation. Sorry, that looked like a fucking butt plug. That's a butt plug, dude! She's looking at Disney wings, and they're all positioned around the butt area. We're not going to bully the person that posted it, but, like, that is a butt plug. Anyway, sorry. So Ted sees Johnny alone at the after party, where we hear that Ted and Laurie, who was played by Mila Kunis in the first film, she does not return for this film. They were divorced.
She didn't return because she was pregnant at the time.
There you go. She ruined the spoilers.
She only does like one film a year because she's married to another actor, and between the both of them, they're able to bring in enough money to support their children.
That's good. Who's she married to? I know who it is, but I can't remember. Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, so between the two of them, they're able to support their children. She doesn't have to like constantly film and be away from her kids, which is quite good.
They were in a film together before they got married, but I can't remember. That doesn't matter. We're not on about Ashton Kutcher. We'll get to him. We'll get to him if we ever cover one of his like rom-coms he's been in, and that's about it. So anyway, they were divorced a few months prior to the film. As the credits roll, Ted performs a dance number before it cuts to a year later, where Ted and Tammy's relationship isn't going so well. You found it very pointless and didn't realise that this was going on in his head and thought he was having a big, gigantic dance number at his actual wedding.
Well, yeah, because kind of annoying.
Yeah, you thought it went on too long. But now it explains why it's there. Not just he suddenly thought, magic wedding.
I was watching it, I was feeling like the stage is too big. It's not big enough.
So the noise from their argument awakens their neighbours, causing an argument between Ted and two others. Didn't you say in the extended edition of this, which we didn't watch?
Yeah, because I
like a
have
fourth
it.
person
I have
opens
it
a
on
window.
DVD because you get like the theatrical version.
That's the theatrical one, and like the extended version they put on
But I'm
DVDs.
sure there was extra bit that they added to the DVD.
Probably.
Obviously, we watched it on Netflix, so
Just because we didn't want to dig shit out. So at a bar, Johnny and Ted drink, where Johnny is hit on by the bartender, who gives him her number, which he refuses because he's still in love with Laurie. At work, Ted is surprised when Liam Neeson, the actual Liam Neeson, I don't need to explain who he is. Don't know why he's in this film, and it sucks how he and another member of the cast, this is their first appearance on the channel for them. Just Liam Neeson walks in and asks some questions about a cereal. Ted speaks with Joy, who is played by Coco Brown, about his relationship issues. She just casually drops the N-word several times. That was surprising. About his relationship troubles, and she tells him that he and Tammy need to have a baby together. Ted goes to speak with Tammy, and the two of them agree that they should try for a child. Somehow. At Johnny's, he and Ted watch Law and Order and sing like a version of their Thunder Buddy song. Anyway, we all know the Law and Order theme. It's a big meme on TikTok and stuff at the moment. So yeah, they watch Law and Order, and Ted tells him that they're going to have a baby. Law and Order being a big clue to where the plot is going to go. By the way, big what we in the business call foreshadowing. She just leaned away from the mic so she could blow her nose.
No, I generally, then an ad came up and you got copyrighted.
Oh, probably. So Ted borrows Johnny's computer to send an email where he discovers a whole stockpile of Johnny's porn. Uh, with the iconic quote of, "There are no chicks with dicks, just guys with tits." Oh, God, you can't make this anymore. Even though this was 2015, in 8 years you can't make that joke anymore. Which is disgraceful, but it doesn't matter. There's a lot of weird stuff like clockwise rim. It's really categorized to like clockwise rim jobs and anti-clockwise rim jobs. It's like down to the T.
There was that, like, every time they open it's like, do you mean...
They said every time. I think the direct quote is, "No matter where you go on the internet, you're always 2 clicks away from big black cocks."
Yeah.
But it's like every time they open Google for, well, like internet search engine, not Google, on the internet, there's all, like, it usually says, "Did you mean big black cocks?" It's, as I say, this film is a lot more Family Guy-esque than the last one. So, of course, when he sees this, Johnny realizes he needs to get in the dating game, and they smash it and bury his laptop at the bottom of the ocean very quickly as well. It's just like, we need to bury this at the bottom of the ocean. Boat? What?
I said to you they wouldn't do that,
No, you can't get a boat that short notice unless you know a guy. Ted visits Sam Jones to ask him to be a sperm donor, but does not due to his past. Drug abuse. They just bully Sam Jones. I mean, he's all for it because he's in the film. But like in the last one, he gave them all cocaine, and he does it in this one as well. Ted and Johnny, however, decide to perform a heist in order to steal American footballer Tom Brady's sperm instead. They arrive at his house and manage to fool him by pretending to be like air conditioning repairmen, I guess, engineers.
Yeah, so Johnny cut the aircon off. But don't forget about
You want to talk about the remote. So yeah, by sabotaging Tom's aircon, he is forced to open a door in order to get fresh air, which allows Ted and Johnny to sneak in. Amelia just wants to mention his little rain mac he's wearing.
It's really cute.
I know, he's meant to look like Paddington. Bless him. Ted and Johnny argue until Johnny is persuaded into performing a hand job on him. When they lift the blankets, it's like the golden briefcase from Pulp Fiction, which you never find out what's in it. They never show you if it's money, gold, whatever. It's just golden light. However, like, everyone's fighting over that. So yeah, Tom suddenly awakens and throws them out. When they escape, Johnny asks why Ted never asked him, and Ted didn't think he'd be up for it, but Johnny says otherwise. At a fertility clinic the next day, Ted tries to get Johnny to hook up with a nurse, who is, I have to mention, played by Maggie Geyer. She is. I'm only putting her down because I know her from Gotham. And then they recast her as someone else. So yeah, Gotham. That Gabriel Iglesias like reality show he did, not reality show, like sitcom. But she has a boyfriend. Ted, while he waits, gets bored and bumps into a doctor who shows him. I'll press the button again, don't I? Who shows him the donor storage until Johnny joins them. The doctor, however, is called away, and when Johnny tries to show him his sperm, Johnny accidentally knocks a shelf over, covering himself in other people's reject sperm. Lovely. He gets soaked. Absolutely, like, covered in it. Elsewhere at Hasbro, Donnie, returning from Ted 1, once again, Amelia is coughing.
Sorry.
Once again, played by Giovanni Ribisi, who is now a janitor there, tries to get the attention of an executive, Mr. Jessup. Mr. Jessup is played by John Carroll Lynch. He is in The Founder, also a film you can watch on Netflix. He's also known for That weird one-off episode from Morgan in The Walking Dead where he just learned how to use a stick. But he was also in American Horror Story, I believe. I think he was the clown in that. Yeah, I can't remember his name. I didn't watch it. I don't care. Back at the clinic, Tammy and Ted learn from another doctor, a different one, I should say, who is played by another character actor, Dennis Haysbert. Uh, I know him from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I can't remember what he did in that. I think he was Holt's boss. So obviously Holt is deadpan, and so is he. But he's known for them weird sniper films that I think has Alex in from Call of Duty. Yep. Oh look, and Billy Kane, who we just saw in Billy Zane, sorry, that we literally just saw in fucking Ghosts of War. Yeah, so he's in a lot. He's a big like character actor. He was in Lucifer, 24. The third, they made 3 Jarheads. Jesus, I remember the first one having Jake Gyllenhaal in it. I didn't know they made 3. Jesus. Anyway, so they learn that unfortunately Tammy Lynn is infertile due to her past drug abuse. The two of them go to their second option of adoption, where they are denied because of Ted technically not being a person, but classed as property. Johnny goes to Ted's work, where he and his colleagues all talk about it being bullshit until his manager tells him he's losing his job for the same reason. So this is when the plot really begins to take its like shape, as opposed to just being Family Guy level jokes. It actually becomes like a movie now. Like, this is where our main plot comes in. So Ted receives a letter that states his and Tammy's marriage is also no longer recognised due to his current state. He meets with Johnny the next day, and they agree to meet with a lawyer to argue for his civil rights. They meet with a lawyer who turns down their case due to their financial status, but suggests his niece. And they go to meet with her, and they make introductions with one another, and Ted is worried due to her age. They quickly change their mind when she takes a hit from a bong and introduces herself as Samantha, which I will now say she is played by Amanda Seyfried, who gets a lot of bullying in this film for apparently looking like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Of course, everyone knows Amanda Seyfried. Where to begin, really? Mamma Mia, Mean Girls, Jennifer's Body, Les Mis, apparently. Apparently she was in Ted 1, which is bullshit. Everyone knows. Everyone knows what she looks like at the very least, apparently, according to this film. They laugh about her name being similar to that of Samuel Jackson, who she is unfamiliar with. So her name is Samantha Jackson, her middle initial is L. So then Sam L. Jackson. Which even though he's just been on the channel in Jurassic Park, you've already forgot who he was.
Not bad.
Excuse me. They all bond and get high together, and she agrees to try to get his life back as Johnny gets seriously affected by the weed. They all do research on several different court cases throughout history, and Sam and Johnny begin to hit it off. They all go to Johnny's, and Ted decides his last name will be Clubber Lang. Obviously, Rocky, the actor from Mr. T. I can't remember his name. Lawrence. Well, he's played by Mr. T, whose real name is Lawrence. He was born not long before us. Well, day-wise, not years. He was born in the 50s, for God's sake, but he was a May baby. He was a maybe. Comedy, everyone. Anyway, so Sam doesn't know what Rocky is as well. She's very pop culture illiterate, if you want to call it that. Back at Hasbro, Donnie visits Jessup in order to propose to him they can make a lot of money if Ted loses his case and he is recognised as property, which of course Jessup, being a greedy executive, is impressed by and agrees to it. So in their court hearing, Shep Wild, which is a fucking name and a half, he is played by John Slattery. I don't really know what he's from, but he was quite high up in the list. He's known for Mad Men. That's about it. Iron Man 2, Avengers Endgame. Oh, I think he's Tony Stark's dad, if I remember correctly. I can't remember. I don't. Even though I've seen a lot of the Marvel films because of Morgan, I don't care. So yeah, in court, Shep, a lawyer who has never lost a case, makes the case that Ted is property as Donnie watches from the audience. Even though in the long shots I did look for him and he is not there. They put in one little shot of him being there for no reason, and then forgot to actually add him in the wide shot of the room. Despite their best efforts, the court and also the world disagree with him being a person. They will return to Johnny's to contact another civil rights attorney named Patrick Meehan to help overturn the court's ruling. I won't go into who he is played by until we get to that point. Wouldn't want to ruin the surprise of this major actor appearing in Ted, like Liam Neeson. Sam phones him and tells the others he is willing to meet with them and go over their case. And they celebrate by going to an improv show where they suggest horrible things. A lot of this film recently has gone to the internet. Like, a lot of these scenes are just all over, like, TikTok and stuff at the minute. So, you've probably seen them. Tammy stays behind as the others go on the road to meet with Patrick in Arizona. At a diner, Ted points out Sam and Johnny's chemistry as Sam tosses a piece of cookie dough down a fat, blind guy's arse crack. That night, Ted volunteers to drive and does so recklessly, ultimately causing them to crash for a barn. Like, the wall of a barn, but, like, a story up. They drive off a hill and crash through the wall. Why would you let your teddy bear drive? He's not passed his driving test.
He did, and then it got revoked.
Good point. So the three of them are forced to spend the night at the barn and realise that it's a weed farm. And to the theme of Jurassic Park, which we reviewed not too long ago when we watched that episode, it's very silly. They all burst into tears at the sight of the fields full of plants. They all get high using a bong shaped like a penis, and Ted wanders off, leaving Sam and Johnny alone. However, he soon returns with a gun, a cowboy hat, and a guitar, which he fires, sending him just flying. Sam takes the guitar and sings a song while Johnny watches on in awe, ending with the two kids. It's the big ah moment. Ah, lovey-dovey.
Did you do that? You moan at me for like coughing and that, and then you do that down the mic.
Yeah, well, I was pretending to be sick. I was gagging, not going. Anyway, I apologise for your fucking eardrums, ladies and gentlemen. So the next morning, they pull the car down and head back out again, arriving in New York, not Arizona. I think they were talking about Arizona State, and I think I was just so ill. I was just like, yeah, Arizona. So they arrive in New York, where they nearly run over some Star Wars cosplayers. Importantly, Obi-Wan, who is played by Alex Salkin, one of the writers for the film. They are going to Comic-Con. And they eventually get to Patrick's office. Patrick is played by Morgan fucking Freeman. They got him in this film. Why does this have to be the first film he shows up in on the channel? Honestly. So anyway, they get to his office when he offers his sympathies and tell them he's not taking on the case due to his life not having much long-term positive impact on the world. They wallow in their defeat outside, and Ted gets angry at the other two for being so lovey-dovey, despite everything he's going through. Ted storms away from them, where he eventually makes his way to Comic-Con, not noticing Donnie outside. I put Guy and Guy. I was so unwell. Guy and Rick are there. I don't recognise the costume Guy's in, but Rick is wearing the costume of his character from Star Trek, which I thought was funny. Even though they said they aren't into that shit and they're just there to bully nerds. So yeah, Guy and Rick are there, so Ted greets them before he bumps into Donnie in disguise as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Raphael. As I said to you, it could have been so much funnier if they had him be Donatello, considering his name is Donnie, and they call him Donnie in the fucking shot. Ugh. Wasted potential for a fucking funny joke to be like, oh look, he's Donnie. Donnie takes him backstage in order to try and kidnap him, but he outruns him, managing to steal a phone to call Johnny. Sam and Johnny rush to get to Comic-Con as Ted hides on a display of other Teds, only having his cover blown when Donnie sings Sweet Caroline to him. Ba ba ba. Yeah, you get it. You get it. Sam and Johnny enter an event hall where Jonah Hill, who is not in this film, I had to put that in, is announced as Superman, which literally makes Johnny just go. At a different hall, Donnie uses his code word to tell Jessup that he has secured Ted. The code word was like fresh cakes, I think. I don't know why. They are almost caught by Guy and Rick, who they dismiss. Johnny bumps into them soon after, and Guy tells them what happened to Ted. Jesse and Donnie tie down Ted in order to cut him open to make more. Well, they cut him open to find out what makes him magical. Ted unfortunately fails to talk Donnie out of cutting him open by basically saying, like, you saw what happened last time you split me in half. He died. And came back mentally challenged for a brief second. God, that was interesting. So Sam Jones then attacks Johnny for damaging his car after he said he couldn't give him his sperm, causing an all-out brawl at Comic-Con. Sam and Johnny manage to get backstage before Ted can be cut open, causing Jessup to back out of the deal. Johnny attacks Donnie. That's a lot of letters. That's a lot of Onnies. Knocking him to the ground and causing his hairpiece to fall off. Sam, Ted, and Johnny walk through Comic-Con with Ted apologising and accepting that he will never be a person in the eyes of the world. However, Donnie, who is still active, secretly slices a rope, sending a model of the Starship Enterprise crashing down into Johnny. Ted points Donnie out and a group of other turtles, managing to get him to blow his cover this time by getting him to dance to I Think We're Alone Now, which he danced to in the first film. I forgot to mention in a review for that one, so that's how we knew. He does the same dance where he just goes, he just like swings his hips around. It's really weird, which of course gets him arrested. Ted rushes back to Johnny, finding him unresponsive. Sometime later, Sam, Ted, and Tammy, that took ages for me to write for some reason, are by Johnny's hospital bed when all of a sudden his heart monitor flatlines. A nurse suddenly rushes him out of the room and several medical staff rush in to his aid. The next morning, they hear from a doctor that Johnny didn't make it and tells them to say their goodbyes. Big sad. It's the big sad. They go in and Ted gives an emotional eulogy, even shedding a tear for him. Somehow that teddy bear can cry. Then again, he can get high off of weed, so apparently he's got lungs as well. However, of course, it's a big joke being played on them due to Ted's prank in the first film where he said he was mentally challenged, I believe is the term I used. Not the term they used, even though this was 2015 and it was probably unacceptable to really use that at the time. It's probably on its way out then. You can't use that word anymore. The R word. For those who don't get what I'm trying to say. Anyway. Much to Sam's confusion, because obviously she wasn't in the first film, so she understandably is like, what the fuck is going on? Sam is furious at him, but she is ultimately just happy that he isn't dead. Patrick suddenly appears and apologises, explaining he is willing to take on the case because of Johnny's sacrifice for Ted. Sometimes later, he represents Ted in his court case, succeeding in persuading the court to see Ted as a person. As Patrick Stewart, back again from the first film, narrates, we see Ted and Tammy adopt a boy that they name Apollo Creed, once more from Rocky, which Sam and Johnny gift his own Ted. And in a post-credit scene, we see a wounded Liam Neeson return the cereal to the store randomly, and the film ends. And that was Ted. Ted coughed too. Ted coughs. So, what were your thoughts now that you've coughed?
As I say, I loved it. It was more funnier than the first one.
I'm just glad it was more of a film about him as opposed to Johnny.
Yeah.
Because, like, you had all of that, like, I don't know, that you had that weird concept, and then didn't make it about the teddy bear. It was weird. It was an interesting choice to do that with the first film, but I'm glad they concentrate more on him for this one. So yeah, those were our thoughts on Ted 2. Once more, I apologise for fucking Black Lung over there. For the
What?
Black Lung. Black Lung. That's what Micah kept calling Arthur in Red Dead 2 when he had TB and kept coughing his lungs up. Yeah. Spoilers for Red Dead 2, which is coming to an end. At long last, Red Dead 2 is coming to an end. Anyway, that's not important. So yeah, of course, Ted 2, we enjoyed much more than the first one. It was a lot funnier. It was such an improvement. I apologise for Amelia coughing her guts up for half of this review. I'm not going to explain that she did just then. You can. We're sick.
You gave it to me first. I didn't go out.
Wow, what a great thing to tell the world. Anyway, thank you ever so much for listening. I have been Purple Midnight 8, as always, joined by Madam Sick, aka Amelia, aka the Obsidian Nook, Petal ASMR.
Thank you.
We were also joined by the sleep cat named Starzy, or to give him his full name, Starzapan Fluffington the third, even. Sorry, not second. I don't know why I always get them mix the numbers up, even though I call them that. I know, that's what I'm saying. I gave him his full name from Starzy. But anyway, we have been. Well, I've been another project joined by you and a cat. My turn on Monday. I think I'll be doing the bonus one we probably should have done today. She's already turned the fan on, so I'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you later.